I'm very solid with my decision of not to play the game of basketball in the NBA. Reasoning being, I've heard a lot of different speculations about my reasons for not playing, but I've always stressed to people that have known me and the media that has followed me that when I lose the sense of motivation and the sense of to prove something as a basketball player, it's time for me to move away from the game of basketball.
After watching the progress that Michael has made in the past 2 months, the Chicago White Sox are extending an invitation to Major League Camp in Sarasota. He'll be reporting there on the 15th.
My immediate thoughts was, what is he doing?
What the? He gonna do what?
He just won 3 championships in a row, and he's at the peak of his career.
You know, when you have reached the top of your craft, to you the greatest to have ever done it, it takes a tremendous amount of discipline, a tremendous amount of focus, a tremendous amount of blessings and luck. So when he decided to walk away from all of that and do something else, that's the competitor side in you.
On February 15th, 1994, Michael Jordan reported to his first camp for the Chicago White Sox. Not quite ready for the big leagues by opening day, Jordan was sent to play Double-A ball for the White Sox-affiliated Birmingham Barons.
The reason that the White Sox even wanted me to go back there was because he was coming. I was getting ready to retire, to be honest. I hurt my elbow, I had a Tommy John, and I hurt it in the spring of '92. And Ron Schuler, who was the GM back then, said, I want you to try to make a comeback. I would love for you to go to Double-A and Michael Jordan will be down there. I think it'd be good for you to have somebody he can connect with.
The opening 2 games of the '94 Barons season were against the Chattanooga Lookouts. Jordan struggled from behind the plate, going 0 for 7, striking out 5 times.
I remember sitting with him and talking to the clubhouse. He said that baseball is very frustrating to him because he gets 4 ABs, maybe 5 if we're hitting well, that he can't take over the game when he wants to. Baseball is impossible to take over, where in basketball he just took it over when he needed to. So he said that was the biggest difference for him. Being frustrated to him was not being able to just take over the game.
Jordan's competitive spirit was never deterred, and in the 3rd game of the season, Michael's first game against the Knoxville Smokies, he got redemption at the plate in the 3rd inning. The Hoover Met Stadium exploded as Michael drove it to center field, landing him his first base hit in his career.
It's huge because as it builds, if you don't get a hit and it keeps building up at-bat after at-bat, you start putting a lot of pressure on yourself. So to get that out of the way was huge for him. Oh, he was relieved. I mean, he worked, I'll say this about him, he worked extremely hard. He put extra hours in with our hitting coach, Mike Barnett. So he worked at it. It wasn't just showing up and just doing it for fun. I mean, he was really working at it. So for him to get some fruition from his hard work was huge.
Jordan didn't stop there. In the 7th, he drilled another single to center field. The Smokies may have beaten the Barons 7-1, but it seemed the former Chicago Bull was adjusting well to his new sport. The next day, Jordan drove in his first run, a bases-loaded single, which scored Steve Sachs, and stole his first base as well. The Barons won 4-1 against the Smokies to get their first win of the season.
I came in with a very open mind. I didn't know what to expect. I knew it was a challenge in front of me, and there was a lot of different expectations of myself, some good, some bad. You know, that's just the way it went. And I came in just to work hard and enjoy the game and learn more about the game and see if I got the skills to play the game.
Jordan indeed had the skills. His first game against Knoxville was the first of a 13-game-long hitting streak that extended far into the month of April.
He said, you can buy opening day right now, but if you're going to buy exhibition, you have to buy that with the AAA All-Star game.
Once it was announced that Jordan would be playing minor league baseball, ticket offices were hit with a tidal wave of fans all wanting the chance to see his royal airness. The Knoxville Smokies were no exception. Michael Jordan arrived in Knoxville in June of 1994 for a 3-game series.
The games were sold out, and nobody was going to the games then. But every time Michael went somewhere, whether it was in Knoxville or Huntsville, Alabama, wherever he went to play, that game and those games for that series was a hot ticket all of a sudden to come out and see Michael, you know, striking out on the curveball.
So for the owners of those teams, the minor league teams, they were loving it. for the most part, back then, they didn't draw very well. With him, he brought the excitement, he brought the fans out. And because when you bring fans out, even for the young kids that are playing, it gives you adrenaline. It's just a great feeling to be able to play in front of a big crowd.
Around 5,000 fans came to see Jordan's inaugural game at Bill Myers Stadium, and it did not disappoint. He went 2 for 5, starting with a double in the 4th. And another single in the 9th. Even when he struck out, the people of Knoxville still showed love for the rookie. The Barons won the first of their 3 games in Knoxville, 8-4, and a familiar face in town would show Michael some Southern hospitality.
Tell me about, I guess, this is the first time you met Mr. Jordan.
Me, Michael, MJ. The first time I met him was in a hotel. We were playing the Chicago Bears, and I was roommates on the road with a guy named Larry Griffin for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And him and Michael went to University of North Carolina together. I used to go down after work to a place called Michael's on Kingston Pike. A gentleman who owned the club was having a function that night. So I decided to go hang out that particular night. He wanted me to come down, and when I walked in the door, it was this big old crowd around somebody. And I'm like, man, what's going on over there? They say, Michael Jordan's over there. Michael ain't in here. And they said, yeah, he's in town for playing baseball. So I went over to the table, stuck my head in, and he was like, Roy, Mike, what you doing? I'm like, man, get me out of here. Where you at? I said, I got a private table in the back. So we went back and hung out, and we were kind of behind the glass, and everybody was trying to get in, and we were just talking, and they couldn't get in unless I let them in. You know, now I got Mike. I'm back here with Mike, right?
Before the following day's game, Thompson and Jordan would partake in one of the Barons outfielders' favorite pastimes.
He likes to play golf and gamble, so I started talking smack to him. Like, man, I'm gonna kick your behind tomorrow. Man, you ain't what? Bring your money, bring your bag. And knowing I can't play a lick at that time, I can play now, but at that time I couldn't play. So we get down to Royal Oaks. I had a little bit of ownership in Royal Oaks back then. Reggie White and Carl Pickens and a lot of players on the golf course out in Maryville. And then we got on the golf course and started playing, man, and I was hitting the ball all over the place. Mike's going right down the middle. And finally, it was starting to be a little bit embarrassing. So I got the golf pro to come play with us so Mike could have a good time, because I was just digging up the course.
After a round of golf, Jordan single brought in a runner from third, giving the Barons a 1-0 lead as they went on to beat the Smokies 3-1. The final game of the series saw Michael go 0-5 as the Smokies dominated the Barons 14-5. Regardless, Michael was still enjoying the game.
Yeah, I'm having a great time. I think it's been fun. It's not your first-class treatment, but it's respect. I mean, it's still a lot of fun for me, and I've been in a lot better places and a lot, better hotels and better travel, but not as genuine as if I spent here in minor league and with the guys that I've spent it with. I think that means a lot.
Well, the road is very difficult. Minor leagues is difficult, to be quite frank. I mean, you have better facilities in college than you do in minor league ball.
They would staying in this raggedy hotel out off of Merchants Road, because baseball, they didn't travel like NFL, they didn't travel like the NBA, and you set up in these 5-star hotels. They was over there in the Dewdrop Inn.
With plenty of miles and hours in between towns, Jordan sought to remedy the situation.
They say $350,000 you put into a new bus for the team. Yes, he did take some bus rides, but that's when I came there. We were in, I guess we were in Orlando. I think it was Orlando, maybe Jacksonville. And after the game, he come and he goes, "You ready to get back?" I said, "Yeah, I'm ready to get back. What do you mean?" He goes, "I'm taking a flight. You want to go?" I said, "Oh, you got your jet here?" He goes, "Yeah, I got my jet." I said, "Yeah, I'll go." So yes, he took his private jet at times too. So.
Jordan and the Barons would return to Knoxville in July of 1994 for another 3-game series, The Smokies and the Barons split a doubleheader with Knoxville winning the second game 2-1. Jordan went 1 of 5 in the 2 7-inning contests with a single in the 3rd inning of the first game. An error on a pitch allowed Michael to take third. Smokies relief pitcher Aaron Smalls nailed Jordan in the knee with the pitch in the 4th inning in the second game, already giving up 2 hits to Jordan since the season had begun. For his final game in Knoxville, Jordan went 0 of 5 and had 2 walks after a 52-minute rain delay. Atlee Hammaker may have been asked to join the '94 Barons to begin a comeback, but for him, there was a much higher purpose.
My whole reason for going, to be honest with you, was I had an opportunity to share the gospel with him. That was my intent. When I went there, I told Jen, if nothing else, I'm going to see where he's at spiritually and maybe get a chance to share the gospel with him. And he was out in the outfield, and he went after a fly ball, and he popped out his glove and missed it. I go, my gosh, I said, you're the greatest athlete I think I've ever seen, and for you to go after a ball and miss the ball, and I'm seeing you do dunks, crazy dunks over people, what is that going on? You're supposed to be a great athlete. And then he goes, hey man, everybody misses 1, right? I said, well, you missed 3. And I started thinking, he goes, what do you do when you leave here? What do you got going? Are you by yourself, your wife here? Started talking about that, and then I started sharing the gospel. I got a chance to say, if you were to die tonight, going back, get a God forbid, and you came face to face with God, and he asked you one question, why should I let you in the kingdom of God, Michael? And I'm sitting there going, please say something. And he just sit there, good question. I said, because you're Mr. Nike? He goes, no, nobody cares about that. I said, because you have $500, $600 million? No, and he goes, no, man, that's a great question. What would I say? I said, only way to know Jesus. He goes, that's right.
As Hammaker's time was winding up with the Birmingham Barons, he wanted to leave Michael with a parting gift.
When I got called back to AAA to go finish my rehab, I was leaving. I didn't want to leave, to be honest with you. I told them to keep me there. They're taking me up. So I went out and got a Bible and they scripted his name on it and put the plan of salvation in there. And I left it in the locker room for him, and he came in. I thought I came very early because I was leaving. For whatever reason, he came in early, came into the training room and said, I want you to know something. I goes, nobody's ever given me a Bible. I appreciate it. That's going to my foyer at home. I said, well, I hope you read it. I mean, it's great to look in the foyer, but I mean, it's really, somebody died for you to have that. And he goes, I know.
In August of 1994, Jordan's final 3 games against the Knoxville Smokies were held in Birmingham. He made sure to go out against Knoxville with a bang as he knocked one out of the park in the first game of the series. One of only 3 home runs Jordan hit all season.
For the cities that they would come play in, it just brought a lot of enthusiasm, and people could see their superstars doing something else different. And that can motivate kids, man, to go after your dreams and don't let anybody tell you what you can't go after and what you can't do. If you want to go give it a shot regardless of what everybody else thinks. And that's what Michael did.
Everybody gravitated to him. I mean, they recognized who he was. I mean, he's the greatest sports figure in probably the world at that point. And for him to want to play baseball, that was just kind of an interesting story in itself. But he was great with the guys. I mean, as a player and as a teammate, he was super. He tried to help the kids as much as he could, and of course, vice versa. They tried to help him as much as they could.
I thought it was a gimmick, but when he transitioned and done it, you've seen him taking the same approach as he took in basketball, but he just couldn't hit that curve. He just couldn't hit the curve.
Jordan finished his minor league career having played a tied team-high 127 games. He had 88 hits, 51 RBIs, and 3 home runs.
It's awesome. He's the best player that's ever lived in basketball. So it's awesome that he's coming back.
And with a simple 2-word press release, Jordan returned to the sport that made him a household name. And the rest is history.